So you want to know more about Sylvanas? Do you hate a lot of things and don't particularly like anything? Do you like wearing black and smudged eyeliner? And do you like watching Daria? Then Sylvanas Windrunner, the Banshee Queen, is for you. There's a lot on Sylvanas, like a lot. So I highly recommend checking out the longer stuff in the description. This is gonna be more broad strokes after her Warcraft 3 debut, which I think defines her character the most. Sylvanas Windrunner used to be happy. She lived in the tranquil forests of Quel'Thalas, the High Kingdom, with her older sister Illyria, her younger sister Verisa, and her baby brother Lirath. When she was alive, she was described as incredibly beautiful, but also very vain. She joined the Rangers and eventually rose through the ranks to become Ranger General of Silvermoon City, the military leader of all High Elven forces, succeeding her mother Lyrissa. She battled the forest trolls of the Amani tribe with the elves as human allies and earned a reputation for being cunning and fearless, and also established a relationship with the human ranger Nathanos Maris. She pulled some strings to have him admitted into the ranks of the Fast Riders. Many of her fellow rangers, including Lord Theron, Haldoran Brightwing, and even Prince Kael'thas himself, had issues with Nathanos and demanded she dismiss the human from the Elven Ranger Corps. Sylvanas don't take shit from nobody. She persisted in keeping Nathanos around, which decades later would prove to be correct, as Nathanos helped her in many victories and was an extremely devoted ally, even in undeath. During the Orcs' invasion of Azeroth, Orcish dragon riders attacked Silvermoon City and slew many elves, including her brother. Illyria left to take the fight to their homeworld of Draenor, stepping through the dark portal before it was destroyed, with neither Sylvanas nor Verisa hearing a word from her for decades. Before she left, Illyria had taken a necklace given to her by their mother, with 3 gemstones inside, and melted it down into 3 separate ones. Sylvanas received a sapphire, with the inscription, "To Sylvanas, love always, Illyria." The ruby was passed to Verisa, and Illyria kept the emerald for herself. This way, the 3 of them would always be together. Years passed, and the undead plague would spread throughout the human kingdom of Lordaeron, through the machinations of the Dreadlord Mal'Ganis and the necromancer Kel'Thuzad. The Lich King had taken a hold of Prince Arthas Menethil's soul, and after betraying his kingdom by murdering his father, his first mission was to resurrect the fallen Kel'Thuzad as a lich in a great fount of power. The Sunwell, a great source of magical power that sustained Quel'Thalas and its eternal midsummer, its floating buildings, and the High Elves themselves. Its magic had been a part of their culture ever since the sundering of the world, when they first settled on the Eastern Kingdoms and declared this land the High Kingdom. Naturally, they'd fight tooth and nail to protect it. Arthas cut a bloody path through Quel'Thalas. Wherever he and his minions tread, the land withered. Sylvanas tried to stand against him, putting obstacle after obstacle in his path, trying to save as many elves as she could, but she could not fight death itself. And a traitor within their ranks helped Arthas enter the city's gates from the inside.
Fall back to the trees!
You've won through this gate, Butcher, but you won't get through the second. The inner gate to Silvermoon can only be opened with a special key, and it shall never be yours.
You waste your time, woman. You cannot outrun the inevitable.
You think that I'm running from you? Apparently, you've never fought elves before.
Damn that woman! We must find a way to cross the river.
Damn you monsters! What will it take to drive you back?
The ranger woman is starting to vex me greatly. I salute your bravery, elf. But the chase is over.
Then I'll make my stand here, Butcher. Anara la Balare. I deserve a clean death.
After all you've put me through, woman, the last thing I'll give you is the peace of death.
No, you wouldn't dare.
Is pain. Hope fails.
Citizens of Silvermoon, I have given you ample opportunities to surrender, but you have stubbornly refused. Know that today, your entire race and your ancient heritage will end. Death itself has come to claim the high home of the elves.
Now arise, Kel'Thuzad, and serve the Lich King once again.
According to Arthas, it was Sylvanas who screwed her people. His only real goal was reaching the Sunwell and resurrecting Kel'Thuzad. Had she not pissed him off majorly and delayed him at every turn, he wouldn't have killed 90% of the population and made it personal. He wouldn't have turned her into a banshee. He was gonna kill people, sure. But he was gonna be nice about it. Sylvanas became the first High Elven Banshee, and her body was flung onto one of the many meat wagons that followed Arthas and would later be locked inside an iron coffin. Arthas allowed her to retain self-awareness, unlike the other undead, further tormenting her as he reached the Sunwell and defiled its golden beauty with Kel'Thuzad's resurrection. The Lich King's power would fade in time, as Arthas needed to merge with him to gain full control over the undead once again. Sylvanas found her old body and conspired with the Dreadlords Balnazzar, Deathrock, and Varimathras to assassinate Arthas. They just wanted him gone.
You seek to overthrow him, and you want my help to do it.
The Legion may be defeated, but we are the Nathrazim. We'll not let some upstart human get the best of us. Arthas must fall.
The Lich Kel'Thuzad is far too loyal to betray his master. But you, on the other hand...
Hate him. I have my own reasons for seeking vengeance. Arthas murdered my people and turned me into this monstrosity. I may take part in your bloody coup, but I will do so in my own way.
We've got to find Kel'Thuzad before we...
You have been deceived. Come to my side at once. Obey.
What is happening here?
Sylvanas.
You walked right into this one, Arthas. It's time to even the scales.
Traitor! What have you done to me?
It's a special poisoned arrow I made just for you. The paralysis you're experiencing now is but a fraction of the agony you've caused me.
Finish me, then.
A quick death? Like the one you gave me? No. You're going to suffer as I did. Thanks to my arrow, you can't even run. Give my regards to hell, you son of a bitch.
Back, you mindless ones! You shall not fall today, my king.
This isn't over, Arthas. I'll never stop hunting you.
You seem troubled, mistress.
Aren't you, sister? Only days ago we were the Lich King's slaves. We existed only to slaughter in his name. And now, we are free.
I don't understand, mistress. I thought you'd be overjoyed.
What joy is there in this curse? We are still undead, sister. Still monstrosities. What are we if not slaves to this torment?
Their plan failed, and the Dreadlords wanted Sylvanas to join them as they ruled Lordaeron, now that Arthas had gone to Northrend and left what is now called the Plaguelands behind anyways. Sylvanas had other plans though. Varimathras betrayed his brethren, and the two joined a human, Grand Marshal Garithos, on a mission driving the last of the Feral Scourge and Balnazzar from capital city Lordaeron. He and his army were of course simply a means to an end.
Sylvanas, spare my life. I beg you. I can be of service. I swear it.
Just like a demon, you'd sell your brethren out just to save your own skin. I'm listening.
Why should we trust you? You're part of the scourge that drove us out in the first place.
Not anymore. My only interest here is vengeance.
Very well. There, your business is done. Now I want you wretched animals out of my city before I...
Kill him, too.
Gladly.
The capital city is ours, but we are no longer part of the Scourge. From here on out, we shall be known as the Forsaken. We will find our own path in this world, Dreadlord, and slaughter anyone who stands in our way.
Over the years, Sylvanas would give those who were rejected by humanity a home under the banner of the Forsaken. They joined the Horde, out of convenience more than loyalty. She even helped bring the Blood Elves, her former people, into the Horde after the Alliance betrayed and rejected them. Living in the palace's underground crypts, known as the Undercity, she had her people develop a weapon against Arthas and his minions, a new plague. Varimathras was more cunning than she'd thought, and he, along with Grand Apothecary Putris, betrayed her and took control of the Undercity from her while deploying this new plague during the campaign in Northrend, not only against the undead, but also the living, Alliance and Horde.
You will pay for all the lives you've stolen, traitor!
Boldly stated, but there is nothing you can... What?
Did you think we had forgotten? Did you think we had forgiven? Behold now the terrible vengeance of the Forsaken!
Sylvanas.
Death to the Scourge! And death to the living! Now, all can see. This is the hour of the Forsaken.
Leading to the death of Bolvar Fordragon, the former guardian of Prince Anduin Rin, and both the Horde and the Alliance watching Sylvanas with suspicion ever since. Alexstrasza the Lifebinder, guardian of all life on Azeroth, and her red dragons, stemmed the spread of the plague, and she breathed an eternal fire into Bolvar, preserving him for a later purpose, for there must always be a Lich King.
The dragon's flame. Seal my fate. The world of the living can no longer comfort me. Place the crown upon my head, Tyrion. Forevermore, I will be the jailer of the damned.
There's a sort of debate going on whether or not Sylvanas knew about the Wrathgate and ordered the attack, seeing as she ordered the production of the Blight and had no qualms of using this plague in Gilneas later on.
I seriously hope you do not plan to use the plague. Garrosh has explicitly forbidden it.
You do well to watch your tone, General. Neither you nor Garrosh have anything to worry about. We've ceased all production of the plague, as he ordered. We'd never deploy it without his permission.
My lady,
Should I order my men to stop the deployment of the plague? Or are we to continue as planned?
What kind of question is that? Of course we're deploying the plague, as planned. Let the Gilneans enjoy their small victory. Not even their bones will remain by tomorrow.
But it is 100% confirmed that Varamathras and Putris did lead a coup against her. And during the battle for the Undercity, Sylvanas was like, oh no, I didn't know anything about the Wrathgate, I didn't order that. So did she use the coup as sort of an excuse? It's not really confirmed, but the debate is out there. Together with Thrall, Jaina, Valera, and Varian, she killed both Putris and Varamathras. With the death of Arthas, Sylvanas no longer had a purpose. All her rage, all her energy, her reason to keep fighting was gone. She jumped off the frozen throne, hoping to end her miserable existence. No one knows exactly what she saw when she jumped. It's kinda sorta confirmed that around this time, she met the Jailer, the main villain of the current Shadowlands expansion, so we don't know a lot about him yet. The Valkyr, that had previously been under Arthas' control, offered to bring her back from true death in exchange for their freedom. They would take her place in the Infinite Dark. As long as they lived, so too would she. At this point in time, she had 9 Valkyr to work with. The Cataclysm came, and with it, Garrosh Hellscream became the new warchief of the Horde, encouraging expansion into Alliance-controlled territories, such as Gilneas, on the southern borders of Lordaeron. Sylvanas and her troops broke down the mighty Greymane Wall and laid siege to Gen Greymane's kingdom. She needed fresh corpses to turn into new Forsaken, as the undead can't reproduce, to which an appalled Garrosh asked,
Have you given any thought to what this means, Sylvanas? What difference is there between you and the Lich King now?
Isn't it obvious, War Chief? I serve the Horde.
Watch your clever mouth, bitch!
During the final confrontation in Gilneas, Sylvanas fired a poisoned arrow at Gen, only for Liam, his son, to intercept it. From this point on, Greymane swore to put an end to Sylvanas and avenge the death of his son. Sylvanas was also betrayed by 3 of her henchmen, notably Lord Godfrey, a former Gilnean lord whom she'd raised as a Forsaken because of his hatred for the Worgen of Gilneas. Note that anyone afflicted by the Worgen curse cannot be raised into an undead. Don't ask me how Worgen Death Knights exist. Godfrey shot her in the back and killed her, requiring 3 of her Valkyr to sacrifice themselves to bring her back. Sylvanas was present in Mists of Pandaria when the Horde's capital of Orgrimmar was liberated from Garrosh's dictatorship. In Legion, she worked together with Varian Wrynn, King of Stormwind, and the Alliance to fight back the demon army the warlock Gul'dan unleashed on the world. Vol'jin, the new war chief, was mortally wounded in a fight and forced Sylvanas to sound in a retreat to save the Horde, leading to Varian's death and the Alliance thinking that she betrayed them yet again. Sylvanas was made the new war chief and soon would do a lot of sketchy stuff, like enslaving the Queen of the Valkyr to create more of them.
Submit. The Valkyr are mine.
Sylvanas, your quest for immortality has left you vulnerable. I will have my vengeance! For Varian! For Gilneas! For my son!
killing a group of her own people just because they wanted to return to their old life somewhat and be with living relatives who accepted them for who they are. Killing Kalia Menethil, Arthas' older sister, the last person who had a legitimate claim to the throne in Lordaeron. The kingdom she kinda sorta now ruled, planning to kill her sisters and raising them as undead, cause she's just a little bit lonely. She didn't go through with this one after they met and had a talk. Burning down an entire city, island, tree thing, whatever you want to call Teldrassil, full of innocent civilians to feed their souls to the maw and the jailer. Luring Anduin and gang, and even her own sister, into a trap to kill them all.
I should have killed you when last we met.
How rude, sister. You've won nothing.
And she would have succeeded if it wasn't for that meddling Jaina. Starting a whole war to kill as many people as possible to again funnel souls to the jailer and grow in strength. She raised Jaina's brother into undeath so he could be brainwashed and betray her at some point, which also kind of failed. She'd fight and kill one of the greatest orc warriors who had been obediently following her until he just couldn't live with the guilt over what the Horde was becoming.
Ah, don't grieve. You'll soon join your loved ones.
I grieve for you. You've made life your enemy. And that is a war you'll never win. You can kill us, but you cannot kill hope.
I set you on this path.
And we knew where it could lead.
I trusted you. And so did they. Death comes, old soldier. And all their hope dies with you.
You tried at Teldrassil. You failed. Hope remains. You set us to kill each other at Lordaeron. You failed. Here we stand. You just keep failing. The Horde will endure. The Horde is strong.
The Horde is nothing! You are all nothing!
She'd abandon the Horde and go rogue with the jailer, shattering the veil between life and death. She'd take Anduin Wrynn, Jaina Proudmoore, Thrall, and Bane Bloodhoof beyond said veil and imprison them within Torghast to be tortured over and over again. And she'd turn Anduin over to the jailer's side, making him a mindless puppet with no control over his actions, just as she had been so long ago.
You have a choice to consider. Join us willingly, or be made to serve.
I thought you believed in free will, Sylvanas.
We've never had free will, little lion. One way or another, we will have you. So I will offer this one last time. Join our cause, or be made to serve.
What kind of choice is that? Why even give me? It's the choice you never had. Despite all your grand designs, there's still some shred of your mortality haunting you. As if the Banshee Queen hasn't entirely eclipsed the Ranger General.
Don't.
Now I understand why you brought me here. Why you've tried so hard to persuade me. Because if you can get me to let go of hope, you finally can too.
Enough! Submit! You are only making this harder on yourself.
Not harder on me. Right now, you hold all the power. How will you use it?
I've not come this far to falter now.
Then why do you hesitate? Make your choice, Sylvanas Windrunner.
Seriously, no one knows what exactly her end goal here is. If it's just being bad for the greater good, like Illidan, or if we're all being bamboozled and she's just bad. But that's her lore for now. In Warcraft 3 and until Wrath of the Lich King, Sylvanas was voiced by Piera Coppola. Since then, she's been voiced by Patty Mattson, although at first this change was kind of jarring, as you'll hear in comparison the really early new voice lines for Sylvanas that Patty Mattson did versus the ones she's doing now for Heroes of the Storm, and you can really tell that she grew into the character, and now I can't really imagine anyone but her voicing Sylvanas.
What are we if not slaves to this torment? What joy is there in this curse? Let none survive. May my aim be true.
What are we if not slaves to this torment? What joy is there in this curse? Let none survive. May my aim be true. What are we if not slaves to this torment? What joy is there in this curse? Let none survive. May my aim be true.
I've no time for games.
I have no time for games.
My will is my own.
My will is my own.
It's time to even the scales.
It's time to even the scales.
The moment is upon us.
The moment is upon us.
Show them no mercy.
Show them no mercy.
I'm listening.
I'm listening. Sinu Amanore. Basha no Falortala. Shorel Oran Sindorai. Look, I've been a high elf, a banshee, and an undead high elf. But I've never been a night elf. I don't do bouncy.
Sylvanas used to use a night elf model in WoW since high elves or blood elves weren't added to the game yet. She finally received a custom model and was the first racial leader to use a different skeleton than their race, using a blood elf skeleton when her people are hunched over and bony like the Forsaken. Although Sylvanas has reclaimed her undead high elven body, she still retains the ability to shift in and out of Banshee form at will.
Ugh, what the hell is that smell? Is that still me?
It is said that Sylvanas doesn't actually smell bad. She is said to smell like decaying roses. Sylvanas is hailed as a savior to the Forsaken and is almost deified by her people, who commonly take her name as a greeting or farewell.
Victory for Sylvanas.
Dark Lady, watch over you.
Dark Lady, watch over you. Dark Lady, watch over you.
Has become an iconic part of Forsaken culture, and Sylvanas seems to approve of this, because of course she does.
The Dark Lady watches over you.
Verisa's childhood nickname was Little Moon, while Sylvanas's was Lady Moon. They were given to them by a young Illyria who teased them for their hair colors, silvery for Verisa and pale blonde for Sylvanas. Illyria and Lirath were the sons of the family with golden hair. In many old artworks, her hair is depicted as black.
No, I'm not going to sing for you. I'm a heartless undead ruler, not a music box.
The sound of mind control is the start of the Lament of the Highborne.
I'm here.
Which Sylvanas sings to you in-game if you bring her back her necklace from Windrunner Spire. You can also hear it from a music box toy you can get after completing the legendary Shadowlands questline as a Death Knight, Paladin or Warrior. The song itself basically translates to a few lines of by the light of the sun, children of the blood, our enemies are breaking through, children of the blood, by the light, and an instrumental version of the song can be found in any High Elven or Blood Elven area in Quel'Thalas or Magister's Terrace. There's also a new version, sung by Patty Mattson herself. I'm gonna put these in between the abilities and the trivia section for rework characters because I think it's kind of interesting to see the history of a character. So with Sylvanas, let me tell you something. Her trait used to be absolutely broken. She wasn't like broken character. She was extremely broken on certain maps like Braxis, freaking Braxis, ban Sylvanas on Braxis.
Is this my jam?
We did it, boys!
The Sylvanas pushes. Jesus.
And that's why you've been specialists on this map. That is how broken her trait was. It used to not shut off. It used to be constantly on. You just auto-attack a building with Sylvanas or a minion and they would automatically be shut down. There was no cooldown, nothing. And people would always play her as like a split pusher. Once again, iterating, Sylvanas is not a split pusher, guys. You used to have to play her with the team because she wasn't very strong as an assassin on her own. She didn't used to be as good at dueling. She was good, but she wasn't broken win rate OP good at dueling people. So she was kind of in that spot where if you got the objective and you pushed with Sylvanas, like you had a Sylvanas that would push with the objective instead of trying to be a split pusher, then you would actually finish matches in less than 10 minutes because it was so broken. And what I remember the most about old Sylvanas before her rework was you just put beep that finger on Q and you never let go. Your Q used to have 5 charges and you could release each charge individually by popping Q like pop, pop, pop. Or you could just hold down Q and as soon as something comes within range, you just fire off all the charges at once and then have them slowly recharge. Or not slowly, they recharged rather quickly. So all you'd hear was
I am well again.
Recharging your Withering Fire. And honestly, I prefer the Withering Fire with the charges to what we have now. I just think it's too slow. I liked being able to hold my charges and rapid fire on people. Now we're going way back. I actually also preferred her old Mind Control over the new one. Mind Control was a point-and-click CC where you could actually control the movement of the enemy character. You could move them off of objectives, you could move them into CC, stuff like that. I thought it was pretty fun. The only downside was that you yourself would be rooted and you wouldn't be able to do anything because you're standing there channeling mind control. But I kind of liked it because you could wait, lurk in a bush or something and then point and click CC someone and hold them in place for your team, or if you're running, peel someone off of someone. And going back another few patches, years, Mind Control used to be her possession talent, where Mind Control would take over minions, and that was your heroic talent that you got to pick. Naturally, no one picked it. Picked Wailing Arrow, for the love of God. And one last thing that I remember about old Sylvanas was that her dagger spread on its own. You didn't need to attack the dagger target for it to spread. You just toss it out and it spread on its own. So I would toss it onto a tower and it would spread through the gate onto the next tower and I wouldn't have to do anything. I wouldn't have to attack it. So that's pretty much what I remember of old Sylvanas. She wasn't bad, but she wasn't really good. But she was godlike on maps where she's already good. Push maps. Any push map. Her trait is Black Arrows. Activate to cause all basic attacks and abilities to stun minions, non-elite mercenaries, and structures for 3 seconds. Lasts for 10 seconds. You just can't use it on bosses or the samurai ads and Hanamura. You also cannot stun the core. Passively, her trait is Banshee's Curse. Basic attacks infect enemies with Banshee's Curse for 3 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. Deal 25% more damage to enemies with 3 stacks. The damage bonus stacks additively with other offensive damage modifiers that can affect Sylvanas' damage. Black Arrow's pretty good trait. Really, really good. On push maps. On push maps where you have an objective pushing for you, Sylvanas just chills, waits till you get the objective, and then you push with that objective, with black arrows active, stun the towers so they don't do damage. You get more mileage out of your objective with Sylvanas. So on maps like Braxis, Battlefield of Eternity, Garden of Terror, Tomb of the Spider Queen, Sylvanas with the right comp can just end the game in 10 minutes or less. This can also be a lifesaver for those overambitious teammates who just tower dive and forget there's a tower, and you just stun the tower for them with your black arrows so they don't die a miserable death. Her Q is Withering Fire. Shoot the closest enemy up to 5 times over 1.5 seconds for 39 damage, prioritizing heroes. Cooldown is reset on getting a takedown. It can only be activated if an enemy is within the radius, and the ability cannot be activated again until all shots are used. If no enemy is in the radius while the ability is active, a shot is consumed and the ability continues until the end of its duration. It prioritizes the closest enemy target. When used on structures, other structures are prioritized over gates and walls. So with Withering Fire, you always want to make sure that the target you want to attack is the target that is closest to you. Otherwise, you're gonna waste the cooldown. You don't have to be facing your enemy in order for Withering Fire to work. You can run away and your Q will still fire. Her W is Shadow Dagger. Throw a dagger at a target enemy that deals 30 damage and an additional 150 damage over 2.5 seconds. Damage dealt by Sylvanas to the initial target spreads Shadow Dagger to all nearby enemies. This ability can actually be interrupted by a well-placed displace, or if the target moves at least 4 units past its range during its wind-up. The initial target of the ability is displayed by a unique icon. It cannot spread to stealthed enemy units or units that are already affected by it. The initial damage is dealt to secondary targets as well. The spread radius is extended by the main target's unit radius. So the bigger the target, the easier it is to spread. Shadow Dagger is pretty much your minimum wave clear. And also what I use to initiate on structures and then use my black arrows to not take the damage, because you're gonna go into range of the cannons before you get to your auto attack range. So it's better to open with a spell so you don't get that initial cannon hit. And usually I use Shadow Dagger for this because Haunting Wave, which is coming up, is your only escape until level 20. So it's better not to waste that. Her E is Haunting Wave. Sends forth a wave of banshees, dealing 114 damage to all targets. Reactivate to teleport to the banshee's location. Sylvanas gains Unstoppable while she is traveling to the wave's location. So if you're about to be rooted or stunned or something, or if you're gonna be chromie time looped, you can time your Haunting Wave to gain the Unstoppable status, so you're basically self-cleansing. This takes a bit of practice, but it can be done. One thing to note is that while you are traveling, you may be unstoppable, but you're not invulnerable. Sylvanas is still physically on the map, so a well-placed skill shot will still hit Sylvanas if she's using Haunting Wave to teleport away. You can also use this to go across terrain, which makes it an excellent escape, and you can use it as an excellent juke, because people will normally expect you to teleport to your Banshee's Wave, and instead you can just not. They will use all their roots, their skill shots, etc. at your ending location. Her first heroic is Wailing Arrow. Shoot an arrow that can be reactivated to deal 228 damage and silence enemies in an area for 2.5 seconds. The arrow detonates automatically if it reaches maximum range. Pretty much does what it says. This can be used to interrupt things like a mosh pit, if you stand on the sidelines and then throw your arrow in there. It can also be used point blank when you're dueling. It's versatile and powerful. An AoE silence, I mean, come on. This can also go over terrain, and it can be used to finish off people that are at low health, since its range is pretty long. This is usually the preferred talent choice at level 10 for Sylvanas. Even though the second one I'll get to has a higher win percent, it's because Wailing Arrow is just easier to use, it has a higher popularity. But both heroics are within 1% of each other, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference. I feel like this heroic, because of its ease of use, is for beginning Sylvanas. And if you're starting out with Heroes of the Storm, this heroic is just versatile enough that it's pretty good to pick in any situation. A silence is valuable for pretty much any hero, since every ability that can be cast, whether it's damaging ability or escape ability, is a spell. And silence removes that ability from the board for 2.5 seconds. And you can interrupt people with it. Her second wow, I was really into that one. Her second heroic is Mind Control. Fire missile that mind controls the first enemy hero hit. Heroes hit are silenced, slowed by 30%, have 3 stacks of Banshee's Curse applied to them, and are forced to walk towards Sylvanas for 1.75 seconds. Mind Control is treated as a silence effect, and mind-controlled heroes cannot attack and have no control of their movement. As I said in the trivia section, this heroic is has always been on the rework block because it's just bad. It was bad. It was really, really bad. And then I preferred the point and click where you channeled and you had complete control of the movement of the character, especially with the level 20 upgrade that increased the move speed of the hero. You could just mess with them so much. But this mind control isn't bad if you're used to playing Ahri in League of Legends. It's pretty much the same thing. Slow moving missile, first enemy hero hit, will walk towards you, and since it applies 3 stacks of Banshee's Curse, you're already doing 25% extra damage to them. This heroic is mostly used by Sylvanas players who are familiar with the character and are familiar with enemy heroes, like with the game overall, and know who to duel and know they can get away with it. I see a lot of experienced Sylvanas players going into Q, double E and mind control build and just nuke people down single target. It's really powerful for shutting off a single target and isolating them for a few seconds. With the level 20 upgrade, this becomes ridiculous. Its base cooldown is 40 seconds. With the upgrade, it's reduced by 25 seconds. So it's like a 15-second cooldown. That is literally insane. And you can also use this over terrain as well, but the character will walk around the terrain, so you're kind of wasting it. I haven't used mind control that much personally, just because there's sort of this stigma still with mind control that it's bad and you're bad if you use it, but that's not really true. It's just most Sylvanas that pick it miss all the time, or they use it in the wrong comp where they have like 5 spellcasters on the enemy team and we could really use an AoE silence, but for some reason you decided to pick mind control. So there's always this kind of prejudice against mind control Sylvanas, but it's not bad. For talents, pretty much all of her talents except her level 4 talents are within 1 or 2% of each other, so you can technically go with any talent you want. The only outlier being Possession at level 4 being 4% higher win rate than the lowest one, which is Unstable Poison. So my main build for Sylvanas is Might of the Banshee Queen at level 1, Possession at level 4, because being able to take over enemy minions and enemy catapults will quickly rack up, and the enemy has to deal with that. They still have to kill those minions that you take over, and you get XP. The Possession awards the experience you would get from killing the minion or the regen globe. Possessing catapults gives the normal experience that a melee or ranged minion would give, not the 1 XP that catapults normally give. So saving your Possession for enemy catapults is actually pretty good. Possessed minions are restored to full health, and your enemy does not get experience from these minions, so you don't have to worry about giving the enemy more XP. If the map is Tomb of the Spider Queen or Braxis, then I'll switch out Possession for Unstable Poison. Festering Wounds at level 7, Wailing Arrow at level 10, Windrunner at level 13. At level 16, it depends on the enemy team. If we don't have a healer and they have a lot of poisons and stuff, then I'm getting real tired of hearthing all the time. So I'll take Life Drain. If they have a lot of CC, then Will of the Forsaken. If not, standard is Evasive Fire. And at level 20, Withering Barrage. Bolt of the Storm is also really viable for another escape or another engage, like a little MLG bamboozle type deal. And that's it. Hopefully some stuff you wanted to know about Sylvanas Windrunner. Thank you for watching. As always, more detailed stuff is in the description below. Have some Sylvanas clips. Enjoy. And I'll see you in the Nexus. You left your circle.
I took a I should have even put the circle down. I should have done it right now. Get out of here. What do I look like? Damn it.
No. Came like 0.5 seconds too late. That's what she said. What? What?
Shut up.
What did she?
I forgot to jump. I forgot to jump. I forgot to jump. I'm dead.
Oh no!
If only you could fucking heal. If you were at white beam, I would have lived.
If only I could teleport. You just yeeted out of there.
Yeah! Why was she? I wonder why! She like what? She talks to him in one conversation. And he's like, you know, I think you could, there's still the Ranger General there, you know? And it's like...
You don't know me.
No, it's like she sees things a little bit differently after she talks to him. And it's like, what? Hello?
Yeah, because it's Anduin.
The Banshee Queen?
Talk no jutsu.
What? I'm out of shit.
Thanks.
Please? Oh my god, what a bad man. The Q resets in the middle of the entire enemy team.
You cannot stop death.
Ba, 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 ba.
Da, 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 da. At least you got away.
When you what? When you ride a horse?
If I ever ride a horse.
Help! I'm just a deer.
Sarah's just dancing behind. Take a fort with no resistance.
Wow.
Poor Samuro.
Oh god, I'm not. I can't Banshees out because I moved.
All you have to do is ask.
Excuse me. They're so low. All of them. There, done. Fuck yeah. Geometry! Ooh! Ooh! Was that as good for you as what's for me?
Sure. Really does.
Oh god, you're turning into bear.
I was looking for a target, and here you are. I will teach you restraint. Insult me in life, and you will serve me in death.